Hi everybody, this is Tom Munley. Thanks again for watching Veterans Views. And I want to thank everybody, all the regulars on. Representative Karen Boback, you're doing a great job for veterans. And I was proud to say it was part of your the rally you had, and when you had the veterans there, was a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll be there again next year.
Thank you.
And you're going to talk about veterans insignia on driver's license.
Yes. One of the questions that we get in my office by many veterans, how do they get the designation that they are a veteran on their driver's license? Very, very easy. In fact, I think you have it, Judge.
I do have it.
It's an American flag that comes on your driver's license, and of course you have to be honorably discharged, and you have to have the paperwork to take with you when you go to get your driver's license or reapply for your new license, and that's important. But the distinction I need to mention today, Judge, is that there's a confusion. Some of our veterans take their license and they think they'll automatically get a veteran's discount at some of the local establishments who are very generous to our veterans. However, many of them apply that discount to active personnel, active military personnel, which is a different card that a person who is still officially in the military will carry with them. So my advice is, when you go into any place of business, if you're looking for a discount, please ask first. Go to the clerk and say, do you honor my driver's license, or do you need an active service card? And they can direct you. But that's something you need to know as you go into the store. That way there are no hard feelings and people know exactly what they're eligible for.
Thank you. Very informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And thanks for watching Veterans Views. You'll see the Representative back again very soon. Thanks so much for watching Veterans Views. Lori Bishop is here with me. Hi, Lori.
Hello.
Kim Stuckert. Hi, Kim. And you're talking about Blue Star Mothers. What is that all about?
Well, Blue Star Mothers started back in World War II times, and it came out of the custom of families hanging a service flag such as this in their window to indicate that they had children serving in the military.
That's wonderful. And Kim, you got involved in this. You were telling me off camera you have children in the service?
I do. I have 3 sons in the military. I have an airman, a Marine, and a Naval Academy midshipman.
That's amazing. Right now they're in the service?
All active duty.
3 children.
Yep,
That
3 boys.
That is amazing. Someday we're going to do a show on that, and just to talk about your children.
I don't know, Judge.
That's amazing,
Thank
Kim.
you.
And Lori, you're very active in this, and I happened to run into Lori and Kim, and I was so honored to meet both of you. And you do a lot to help veterans.
Yes, veterans and active military.
So it's not only veterans; it's the active military also.
Yes, sir.
And I want to say this: when I met them at the event I was at, Representative Boback's event, it was so they were working so hard to help veterans and to get the word out about veterans and active military. Thank you so much for what you do for veterans. Kim, thank you so much for what you do for veterans. I really appreciate that.
Thank
and
you,
I plan on having them back on again for a lot of the events that they have. We'll see you again soon, everybody who's watching Veterans Views. Thanks again for watching Veterans Views. And as I promised, our Congressman Matt Cartwright is back with us again.
Judge. And
he's going to be here with us almost all week, so keep watching our show. And Congressman, today you're going to talk about the Veterans Financial Care Act. That's a big phrase, and I know you know all about it.
Well, it's a bill that I wrote, and here's what happened, Judge. We found out that there's a program that aids veterans called the A&A benefit, the Aid and Attendance benefit, and it gives a limited amount of help, like inside the home health care, for veterans who have limited financial means, people who are struggling financially. And the Aid and Attendance benefit is free to apply for, but what we found out was that there are unscrupulous scam artists out there charging people to apply for the benefit, and sometimes charging them even if there's no way they're going to qualify for the benefit, or maybe setting up ridiculous trusts for $1,500 charging them, $500, $600, $800 to apply for the ANA benefit. Again, Judge, these are benefits that you can apply for free, and pretty much every American Legion post you stop into, every VFW post you stopped into, they can help you apply for that. My congressional office can help you apply for it. But what we did was we saw this scamming going on, and we enacted a bill, and I wrote the bill. It passed the House, it passed the Senate, it got signed into law by President Trump. And I'm the proud author of a piece of law that's going to help prevent this kind of scam from going through and targeting our veterans who would qualify for that benefit.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for what you do for veterans, Congressman.
You too.
And again, he's going to be on again tomorrow, our Congressman, so watch again. Thanks for watching Veterans Views. We'll see you again soon. Thanks again for watching Veterans Views. One of our regulars is back here with us, our district attorney in Lackawanna County. I'm so proud of the work you do for veterans, Mr. District Attorney Mark Powell. He's awesome. Thank you so much. And you're going to talk about today whether a veteran should have power of attorney or a court-appointed guardian.
So as you know, Lackawanna County Bar Association just wrapped up our Wills for Heroes, where we provided wills and living wills and power of attorneys for vets who have signed up for the program. But the question often becomes, should a vet have a power of attorney, or is it too risky? A power of attorney is designed to help an individual who's incapacitated and appoint someone else to manage their financial affairs. And often that's a good idea, but it does come with risk. So if you are going to use a power of attorney, you should certainly have someone you can trust, or a banking institution that's trustworthy to stand in that position. Alternatively, a guardian can be appointed through the courts and help an individual if they are incapacitated. It's a little more lengthy process and a little more costly process, but comes up with a lot more checks and balances. So I would just encourage everybody to fully evaluate whether a power of attorney is right for you or whether a guardianship may be more appropriate.
And if you have any questions, you can call the station. When you call us, we'll answer. We'll even put you in touch with Mark Powell if we have to. And all you vets, I want to tell you, you've been calling here hundreds at a time. Keep calling, keep emailing us. We'll answer your questions. Mr. District Attorney, thank you so much. Right. Thanks for watching Veterans Views. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching Veterans Views. Janice Gavin is here with me today. Janice, you've been here before. Thanks for coming back. And Janice, you're going to talk about the Women's Veterans Committee of the Department of Pennsylvania.
The American Legion decided in July that they would create and expand a Women Veterans Committee. They appointed a chairwoman last year. Obviously, one person by herself couldn't get a whole lot done. So this year they decided to expand that, and they've created 6 more positions. I am one of the 2 vice chairwomen of the Central Judicial Section of the Department of Pennsylvania of the American Legion.
Janice, that's wonderful. And I know how hard you work for veterans. Every time you come on the show, we've gotten great response. What you do for veterans, female veterans especially, and you're still at it.
Well, the whole point, they looked out there and they saw so many women veterans, not only in Pennsylvania, some 60,000 right now, but 70,000 service women on active duty from the state of Pennsylvania. That's a lot of women veterans, and we want to do something to encourage them and to get them more involved in the American Legion, because the American Legion does such wonderful things.
And I'm proud to say I'm a member of the American Legion, and I work hard for it also, but not as hard as you. I'll be honest with Janice. And I want to thank you for what you do for veterans.
Thank you for letting me show up.
And Janice Gavrin's here, and she'll be on again soon, and thanks for watching Veterans Views.
If you have a question or comment for Veterans Views, call us at 570-706-7418 or find us online in the Eyewitness News section of PAHomepage.com. Eyewitness News presents Newsmakers, winner of the Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasting Award for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming, with your hosts, Jane Ann Bugda and Andy Mahalchik.
Hello and welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Andy Mahalchik.
And I'm Jane Ann Bugda.
Pennsylvania is home to the 4th largest veterans population in the United States. That's why every day on Eyewitness News, we devote time to veterans in our Veterans Views segments.
And those segments are hosted by Judge Tom Munley. The judge and his team focus on issues that are important to veterans and their families. And today, the Veterans Views team joins us here on Newsmakers.
We'll introduce you to our guests, and our conversation will begin when this edition of Newsmakers returns right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda along with Andy Mahalchik. And Andy and I are very honored today to be joined by our friends and colleagues from Veterans Views. They are here today to talk a little bit about what they cover every day, answering veterans' questions. And it's our chance and our opportunity for us to get to know them a little bit better. So let us introduce you to our Veterans Views team, the Honorable Judge Tom Munley, who is the heart and soul of Veterans Views, its creator and its host.
Thank you very much, Jane.
And we're also joined by Gina Savoda. Gina is a combat veteran, and we thank you both for your service and for answering questions for our veterans. And also, you see him every afternoon with the judge. Attorney Bob Moran is here with us. He answers most of our legal questions for our veterans. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jane and Andy. It's what an honor to be here. We're so thrilled to be part of this show because a lot of people watch this show, and to get the word about veterans around means a lot to us, and I want to thank you. We've been doing this show about 6 years now. Gina was with me the day we started,
Yes,
6 years
was.
ago. She's still here with me. Bob Moran's been here a couple years, working hard to make this show a success. Julie Thierry also is unavailable, but she's here, makes the show a success. We work hard to do this. We get word out to so many veterans all over our 18 counties we cover. All the veterans call us constantly.
And Judge, I have to ask the question, are you surprised about the really tremendous response you get to that program?
Andy, a great question. We're surprised because at first, 6 years ago, and if Gina remembers, I said, will this work if we only talk about veterans for a couple minutes every day? We didn't realize that you have the veterans, you have the mothers, the fathers, the children of veterans, and they write to us, they call. Everybody wants to know about what veterans could do, and there's so many issues that Gina, especially, and Bob talk about on a daily basis that people love the show.
And I've watched some of your segments from afar, of course. That's why it's exciting to have them here on Newsmakers with us, with Jane and I. They're complicated issues. I mean, they're like a spider web of legal questions and just confusing. And there's no easy roadmap to get from point A to B in some of these issues facing veterans.
You're not kidding. I'll let one of them answer that.
You're dealing with the government. VA is a form of the government, and there are so many benefits that are available to today's veterans. It's just getting them, finding them. Where do I go to find them? Like I always say, I used to be a service officer, so I actually assisted veterans with benefits. And I would always say it's like taxes. There's a reason why you hire people to do your taxes. Same thing with getting benefits. There's a reason why you bring somebody in. I have books, I have 3 of them, and all are this thick, that are on benefits.
Wow.
So there's no way that somebody who is unfamiliar with it, is disabled, is an elderly veteran, they'll look at that and get very intimidated. This show has opened up so many doors and has brought so much information just into everybody's living room every evening.
And we do want to tell a little bit about each of you, because each of you brings something special to our show. And recently, our Nick Thomas sat down with the judge to talk about his service in our program, our Veterans Voices program. So we do want to show that segment here on our Newsmakers program. So here's his program.
Thank you. Squad leader said, they're coming at us, there's movement. He was looking at infrared, we used to have infrared lights. He said, they're coming at us. So he said, don't shoot until I shoot. I could hear them in the rice paddies coming closer and closer and closer. Then when they were close to us, he started firing, and we all started firing. And then I fired for about 5 or 8 seconds. I turned around, looked to my right, nobody was there. Turned around, looked to my left, nobody was there. They all took off.
He'd survived that close call to spend 11 months in Vietnam, eventually becoming a squad leader. Like many Americans, Munley was conflicted about America's role on the world stage, so he wrote a letter on toilet paper titled "Infantryman Asks Why," stating why he didn't believe in the war. It was published in the Scranton Times. Munley says while he was ambivalent about the war, he never wavered in his support for his fellow soldiers.
Trying to help my soldiers stay alive, because I became a leader after I was there several months, and I tried to keep my soldiers alive.
But the dangers of war were ever present, and Munley, like a lot of soldiers, lost friends in the fight.
I was talking to one guy, and Nick, I was talking to him, he showed me a picture of his wife and kids. We both got up to walk. Somebody called me and I turned around and walked away. He stepped on a booby trap. I was right next to him, he got blown to smithereens.
Munley used the GI Bill to get his law degree, but his Vietnam experience stayed with him forever. He readily admits it made him a better person and judge.
And the lawyers just say to me, don't you get upset? Don't you get nervous before your trials? I said, nervous? How about going out on patrol and having people shooting at you with I used to hear bullets whizzing over my head. I got stung by a scorpion. How about getting stung by a scorpion? How about that stuff? So
in the middle of nowhere where this maybe
yeah. So this stuff is nothing.
And with Veterans Views, he has the platform to keep the promise he made to his fellow soldiers on the other side of the world. We're all in this together.
We answer every veteran's question. We get them. We help hundreds and hundreds of vets, Nick, every month that call us. And we're getting them help with their benefits, help with housing, help with the Gino Murley Center to get them. So we're doing our job.
No doubt, a lot of memories there, I'm sure, looking and listening to that great story. And Judge, what goes through your mind when you see that young Tom Munley in harm's way, serving our nation? But that was a different Tom Munley, but it made you who you are today.
Andy, you're right. It was so hard to be in a jungle like that and fight like that. It wasn't easy. But you know, it made everything in life after that so easy for me. I remember when I was a trial lawyer, I wasn't nervous when I was trying a case. I mean, everything, after going through that, when you see people die on a regular basis and stuff like that, I said to myself, whatever, you know, there's an old saying that we used to wear on our helmet, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven because I spent my time in hell. That was hell on earth. So now we're in heaven.
And you realized it at that moment in real time. I mean, that was so many years ago, but you knew it at that moment.
I never forgot about it. I knew it in that moment. I never forgot about it this day. I talked to Bob Moran about it and Gina all the time.
And Gina, you also served our country. Tell us a little bit about your service.
I was in the original Gulf War, Operations Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was a truck driver, and we supported First Army and 1st Cav, and also the Marines. So we delivered everything from water to ammunition to food to, that was my camp. It was, I got to see parts of Saudi Arabia, Iraq, that if I was stationed in one area, I never would have gotten to see. Communication was so different then, which is something that's really mind-boggling almost. When I was over there, newspapers were 2 weeks behind. There was a period of time that our only outside communication was with BBC Radio, and we got it for about 2 hours every night. You have to drive 20 miles to make a phone call. You know, one thing about being in combat, you know that you're always going to have a brother or a sister close by. You know, that's how I think of the judge. We're battle buddies.
And you bring your expertise and your experiences to our Veterans Youth Program. And Bob, you bring your legal mind to us. So tell us a little bit about your career.
I try to, and thank you for saying that. It's a real honor to be on this show, to be joined by Gina and Judge Munley in particular. You know, I didn't have the honor and distinction of serving in the military, so it is an honor, and I'm forever grateful to Judge Munley and to Gina in particular for their service, and for all the veterans out there. So that's why it is an honor for me to come on at night, and as Andy alluded to earlier, these are some complicated issues, and the legal system in particular is complicated. And navigating those difficult waters, you know, could take advice of someone who knows better. So try to come on and try to encapsulate as succinctly as possible something that I think could be beneficial, and a little nugget that maybe a veteran or their family member could take away each night that maybe can improve their lives a little bit. So,
if I could say something, I don't think this show would be the success that it is had it not been for Bob Moran's work. He answers the questions, he works hard, and actually, he's very popular on television, too. A lot of times people
So
say-
we hear.
Yeah, a lot of times
So
people
we
say,
hear.
I'm on TV with them, they say, can we see more Bob Moran? I say, what about me?
Hey, I say that all the time when I witness this every day. You know? People come and they go. We are talking about so many concerns. You're talking about nuggets and really the spider web of information. That is there one marquee question, one benefit that people ask questions about? Is there one big topic that you folks address more than anything?
Well, Bob, you answer
Or
that.
say the top 2 or 3?
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's particularly about benefits and benefits that veterans are entitled to, and there are a whole host of benefits. And Gina, I'm sure, can kind of go through the list. So I often talk about on the show, for instance, we're looking for a discharge upgrade or health care benefits. And again, there are some legal procedures and legal hurdles that veterans may need to address in order to get the benefits that they've qualified for. We talk an awful lot about how to get free, in particular, free legal access for veterans out there. And it's important for us to consistently talk about that. We talk about what's called the Veterans Consortium, Pro Bono Consortium, that was started by Congress some 30 years ago in response to what they saw was the need for veterans and their families to navigate a very complicated legal system before the Veterans Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. that takes up a lot of these benefits. And you had veterans who were going there unrepresented and weren't having the kind of outcome that they deserved and they were entitled to. So the Veterans Pro Bono Consortium was formed to provide free legal services and to train lawyers how to present cases before the Veterans Appeals Court. It's a great program, and we talk about a lot on the show, and I think you're showing some information related to that, and veterans have some questions out there, especially in need of free legal services. They should contact the toll-free numbers that they're seeing on the screen.
And then there are many different layers to the benefits process. So as Bob had mentioned, there is the legal system, there's health care, but then there's also compensation, pension, education, and then it even breaks down further by different demographic groups: Korean vets, Vietnam vets, Gulf War vets. It is a web. There are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of people available to help. One of the best resources are your local representatives and senators, because through the Veterans Outreach Program, which is through the Department of Veterans Affairs, there are different service officers who will go to these offices every month. So there's multiple opportunities for a veteran to get benefits processed for them. And it could be done literally soup to nuts.
And we have the number up there, and that is the number, that is the Veterans Views Hotline for veterans who have questions or their families for the judge and his team to answer. A lot of people may not realize this, but we do have a Veterans Court that you started, Judge, in Lackawanna County, and that is something you're very proud of.
I'm proud of it. United States Senator Bob Casey asked me to go to Philadelphia one day. They were starting a court in Philadelphia, and I came back here and started a court in Lackawanna County. Judge Michael Barres is the head of that. He does a great job, and it's helping so many veterans. If it's a nonviolent crime, rather than put them in jail and throw the key away, we're helping vets get back out on the street, lead a good life, stop drinking. If they're drinking, if they're on drugs, stop that. Post-traumatic stress we deal with. So it's working. And I have to thank Michael Barres for the great job that he does. And Jane, I want to say to you, thank you for what you do for Veterans Views. You work hard on it. You're every day I'm on the phone with you, or Bob is, or Gina. You work hard on Veterans Views.
Thank you, Judge.
And I want to thank you for what you do.
It's my privilege to help you out and to help the veterans out.
Yeah, thank you,
because
Jan.
they do get a lot of questions, and what I do is I post a lot of it to the website. A lot of the information you are seeing today will be on our Newsmakers website, but also on the Veterans Views website.
Jan, if I can I just come back to the Veterans Court quickly? I think
Yes.
Judge Munley's being a little modest because my understanding, I believe the Lackawanna County Veterans Court was the first type of Veterans Court like that founded in Pennsylvania, and it's now it's blown up. It's now statewide and it's now nationwide. There are states all over the country that are enacting their programs to mirror the type of program that was founded and started in Lackawanna County. So Judge Munley, again, deserves that distinction and that honor, and Judge Michael Barrace is carrying that on in Lackawanna County.
And Your Honor, talking about the Veterans Court, or the Veterans Court, is some of it the factor that sometimes the veterans get into problems because of their service, maybe an impact, PTSD, or something that impacted their lives in service, that now they're ending up on the wrong side of the law, maybe because, again, not condoning anything, but maybe they deserve or need a little extra hand to get out of that situation.
And you hit the nail right on the head. Post-traumatic stress, divorce, a lot of times homelessness. They have problems with drugs. They have problems with alcohol. They're unemployed. They can't find jobs. That's what happens, Andy, to a lot of vets. Right now, there's 70,000 vets in the United States of America right now that are going to be sleeping on the street tonight. Think about it. They're sleeping on the street. No, they're on grates. They're in alleyways. They're sleeping on their cars. 70,000, but 8,000 are women. That's hard to believe, but that's the way it is.
And out of sight, out of mind. In many ways, out of sight, out of mind.
The female veteran population is the fastest growing population. However, at this point, VA has progressed a lot, but there is still the man mentality. You never think of a female veteran being homeless on the streets. You know, there's still not quite that concept there.
That's interesting.
You know, the female veterans' roles, it was, you know, nursing, more feminine type things. Women are taking a more active role, and there's more combat trauma. There's so many veterans who are in plain sight and are totally traumatized by what had happened to them during their services. A lot of times in regard to the homeless situation, it's a way that a veteran is isolating, even in the midst of a population, and it all falls back to combat trauma.
Well, Gina, we're going to stop you there, and we're going to take a quick break, and we have information on today's show under the Newsmakers link and under the Veterans Views link. Join us there on pahomepage.com. And you're watching Newsmakers. We are a proud recipient of 3 Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasters Awards for excellence in public affairs programming, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. Jane Ann Bugda along with Andy Mahalchik, and we are joined by our Veterans Views team, the Honorable Judge Tom Munley, Gina Svoboda, and Attorney Bob Moran. Not joining us today is Judy Lettieri, who's also part of the program, and you can read more about their bios on our website, pahomepage.com. But when we took a break, we want to talk a little bit about some more issues facing veterans. And Gina, you talked about something about women's issues. What are some of the big issues facing women veterans?
Okay, you know, when I first came back after being in the service, this was in 1995, 96, I went to the Wilkes-Barre VA to register. Every single doctor called me Mr.
Oh.
No matter which office I went into, it was Mr. Svoboda, please come in. So again, as we were talking about with the homeless female veterans, female veterans are being more recognized. And as female, obviously, there's differences between boys and girls. You know, females have different needs. There's a fantastic program that has been implemented through the VA, and we are very fortunate here at the Wilkes-Barre VA to have the women's clinic that we have. There is an awesome support system. And what they really look at is, they call it gender sensitivity. There's no way I could walk into the VA hospital today and be called Mr. You know, there really is a strong focus on accommodating the needs of the female veteran.
And that's good to know this day and age, that females are finally being recognized.
The average age of the female veteran is 48. And that's here in the state of Pennsylvania. So when you hit that age point, that's, you know, your body does start to break down a little bit. One thing that they did find is a lot of the equipment within the military was designed for the male physique. you put it on a female, well, now all of a sudden stuff isn't sized right, it's not positioned right.
So they're looking into that now.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Let's talk about, we were talking off air a little bit about suicide. Frightening numbers. They're not going down by any means, my understanding is. Talk about suicide with veterans, and I hear a lot of folks say, well, just move on, get over it. Why are you in that situation?
I'm going to turn this over to Bob in a second, but I'll tell you, Andy, it's up to 20. It's 20 a day now. It was 22. It's down to 20. It's still 20 too many. A veteran, I can't understand. That's why we're trying to help them. Bob gives numbers on when we're on the air, who to call if there's a problem with veteran suicide. But it is, I mean, it's killing me. I wake up every morning and think 20 veterans are going to die today. Bob.
Yeah, I mean, we do talk about it very often on this program because it's such a scourge, as I often say, in this state and in this country, that veterans go overseas, they sacrifice so much for us, and they come back and they're dealing with real issues related to their service. Oftentimes we talked about PTSD, anxiety, a fractured home life, and it leads to bouts of depression and anxiety. And the number is too high. It is, the latest statistics are on average about 20 suicides per day nationwide with veterans. That's well ahead of the national average for non-military personnel and civilians. So it's an issue that the VA has enacted all sorts of programs to try to drive that number down. There are 24/7 hotlines that we advertise. There's going to be some on the screen tonight. A number to call: 1-800-273-8255 and dial 1. If you're a veteran or you're a family member out there who fears that their relative might be in danger or need the help, there is help out there. Know that there's help. Know that there are people who care about you. That you're worthy and you mean something. That you've sacrificed so much for this country. And you are worthy, and there is help, and get that help.
You know, and we're about 4 minutes left on our show, but there's another big topic that you also all bring to the table when you are on our show, and that is about homelessness among veterans.
I mean,
you're passionate about it, Judge?
I am so passionate about it, and I have to say that one time I was walking out of the courthouse, and there was a man there, and he saw me. He must have seen me on Veterans Views. It was several years ago, and he said to me, "I'm homeless. I'm homeless. Could you please help me?" I said, and I knew he had an Army jacket on. So I said, "Where did you serve?" He said, "I'm a Vietnam veteran. Please help me." And luckily, there's a place, and I know Bob and Gina talked about. There's a place in Scranton that helps homeless vets. They let them stay there 2 years. I believe, was it Monsignor Kelly's time?
St. Francis Commons.
St. Francis
I
Commons.
Yeah.
And so we got him in there, and he stayed there a couple of years. I don't know what happened to him after that. But think about it. You serve your country. You put that uniform on. You're so happy. You're so proud. I'm an American. I'm serving my country. A couple of years later, you're living under a bridge.
Yeah, and the issue with homelessness, too, that often are something related that people don't often think about, is the transition from military life back into civilian life. And that goes for employment. The structures are different. The type of skills that you might have that you've acquired in the military, which are incredibly useful skills, may not translate to some civilian work that you're looking for. And I think that veterans oftentimes feel disenfranchised and let down. And so getting meaningful, gainful employment, obviously, if you cannot get that, it's difficult to maintain a lifestyle, it's difficult to maintain a home, and that leads to homelessness. On top of that are the issues of that we talk about all the time: PTSD and anxiety, alcoholism, drug use, all contribute to homelessness, which again outpaces the civilian average throughout the United States.
And is part of the problem, if I can, is part of the problem or situation dynamic that maybe they are forced to leave their family, or their family, I won't say kicks them out, but because there are problems, their situation, they have to leave and they go to the street because either they realize they can't stay in this house anymore, or the family in the home says, you know, we can't deal with this anymore.
There are those instances. One of the biggest thing with any type of combat trauma is isolation. So the veteran will be taking a step back, and they themselves may be separating from society. On the bright side, there are some amazing programs in place that are exclusive to homeless veterans. as both Judge and Bob mentioned, St. Francis Commons is an example. There is a private woman veterans home right here in the Luzerne County area. There's education benefits, there's actual home benefits. There is a package available, so you just need to reach out. Call us.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to remind everyone that the number is on the screen. If you have a question for Veterans Views, give them a call. They'll answer it. They're very busy all the time. A lot of people write in questions. A lot of people email in questions to us at our news desk on pahomepage.com. So we're happy to pass them along to all of you. There's a lot of good topics, and not only do you answer questions, but you also educate us about, you know, Blue Star Moms, about Blue Water Vets, about the Korean War, and every aspect of veterans' life. Judge Munley, Gina Svoboda, Bob Moran, we want to thank you for joining us today on Newsmakers.
And I want to thank you, Andy, and you, Gina, for giving us a chance to put the word out about veterans.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
In the service and beyond. And Bob, of course, you know, in the latest battle, it's in the courtroom.
Right.
In many ways.
So for
Thank you guys for all you
everyone
do.
here today and everyone behind the scene, I'm Jane Ann Bugd along with Andy Mahal. Thank you for making Newsmakers part of your day, and we'll talk again next time.